Hello there, my name's Kelly Harlton. I'm a student of Mors Kochanski's and one of his assistant instructors. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use one of the awesome features that you can incorporate into your knife. This happens to be a skookum bush tool, and here you can see it's got a wonderful brass inlay, so that it's one less component that we need to fashion or find in the bush that we can in fact use for the socket end of our bow drill assembly. So there's a couple ways that we can use this. One is we specifically had it put on this side because that's on the finger side, so it doesn't seem to affect your grip very much. Sometimes when you use the knife in different positions it may slightly, but I think it's worth having there. And also it's in such a way that when you're actually using it, that your point's away from you and your blade's away from you. So there's a reason that it's on this side of the knife. If we did have a safety concern, there is a way to configure it in the sheath so that to make it a little safer. What you can do is you can, hey buddy, you can take your lanyard on the back. You can wrap around the knife like this, and then just put some twists in it, and then around the sheath like this. And if you're worried about it, you can have a nice, secure, safe way to use your socket without worrying about where your edge is. Okay, go lay down, buddy. Go lay down. Go lay down. Good boy.
Come over here.
So I experimented with this quite a bit, quite extensively, and so far I find it just about frictionless. It'll tend to put some of the brass actually comes off on the wood, and it makes this luxurious polish on the end that is in fact quite frictionless. So the only thing you need to do is shape your spindle in such a manner that it's going to fit in the socket. Just to show you what it looks like.
In the literature, it says that when the drill screeches like that, it's making fun of you.
It sure is.
The Polynesians would say it's going he. So when that happens, they usually throw away either the board or the drill.
Yeah. Usually insinuates some resin or something in the wood that
there's whatever. Well, anyway, we found that in our having read that whenever the screeching would occur, we'd immediately quit and find another drill or another bow or board and work with something that doesn't screech. Well, anyway, I go to England, everything there screeches. And I sort of thought, oh, better hold off here and not jump in too quickly, because when the first guy that bow drilled, I was going to point out that it's much harder to overcome the screech.
Right.
But then I watched and I didn't see any. Everybody's board and drill screeched, so they didn't have alternatives to get rid of the screeching. So I kept my mouth shut, and they never learned about the fact that screeching is something that is a sign that you've got resin or something, and it's much harder to overcome.
Right.
But anyway, you could scare bats away.
Yeah, hearing protection required. Wow, so it's hitting
at any
some
rate,
high decibels.
The socket is one of the important components of lighting fire by friction. And if you've got a ready-made socket, considering the fact that if you've got a knife to build your fireboard and drill, there's a lot of merit to having the socket as part of the knife handle.
Sure.
I suppose you could make a deep enough socket and make that into a pipe to toke our wacky tobaccos too, eh?
Maybe.
It's just another one of those things that I should have thought of it before Kelly did. Darn, I wish I thought of it sooner. Now the skookum knife has got a lot of features that are not apparent. There is the back of the blade is sharpened with very sharp corners, so that you can scrape up fine shavings if you don't have anything else off of the you know, the various, you'll find woods that respond nicer to that. Then there's holes in the handle, which are meant to attach the knife to a stick, so that the only practical use that I can guarantee, because I was in England and there's a lot of briars, and I was in this area where there are paths everywhere, and here you'd want to go over to another path, but you'd have to go half a kilometer to find an opening in this briar tangle. Well, I'd lash my knife to a stick about a meter long and hack my way through all those briars and cross over. And otherwise it's kind of tedious to try to hold on to your knife handle and cut it. And I noticed with some of the knockoffs there was one guy came on and he had a sheath with a magnet in it, so your knife would be held in it at any position. But he didn't talk about those two holes in the handle that with your paracord you are meant to. And in some cases you put a shoulder. When you latch that, you put a shoulder so that if you're stabbing, then the shoulder, the whole power isn't it isn't the cord that's holding the knife handle on. That little shoulder keeps the knife from shifting, and then you lash it on. So that I figure the use of the knife with an extended handle, not as a spear as much as it is to be able to cut grass and to cut briars and stuff of that nature, has a merit.
Yeah. Straight back that blade on the scoop lends itself.
And the holes are big enough to thread
really well. Yeah, you can actually do a real good job of lashing on the end of a stick just with that extra flatness across the back. Actually, it was by accident.
And when you don't have to keep your grass in order, you're using it for insulation. Having a long-handled knife, you go along like a sickle, and you can really whack large amounts. Or otherwise, you got to reach for a handful and cut. Reach for a handful. So I would say that maybe in a quarter of the time you should be able to cut up a pile of hay to bury yourself into with like a debris type concept. And that's what the holes are in there for.